Hey everyone, it's Walt from Mouse Talk. Welcome back into the channel. From Alistair Sim to Scrooge McDuck, we've seen countless actors take on Ebenezer Scrooge. We love to debate who's the best, who's the meanest, and who has the most satisfying change of heart. But what if we've been asking the wrong question all along? What if the success of any A Christmas Carol doesn't rest on its Scrooge, but on its Marley? Think about it. Every adaptation has its memorable moments, its standout ghosts, that heartwarming finale. But the entire story, the very possibility of Scrooge's redemption, hinges on one single terrifying scene: the visitation of Jacob Marley. It's the moment the stakes are laid bare. This isn't just about Scrooge becoming a nicer person, it's about him saving his soul from an eternity of torment. And today we're breaking down how different adaptations handle this pivotal scene, from the truly horrifying to the surprisingly funny, to prove that A Christmas Carol is built on a great Marley. Get this scene right and you believe the journey. Get it wrong and the whole thing falls apart. Charles Dickens did not pull any punches describing Marley's ghost. He wrote of a spirit whose body was transparent with two livid shells of eyes and a jaw that dropped to its breast when its bandage was removed. This was meant to be pure horror. Marley isn't there for a friendly chat. He's a specter forged in the fires of regret, dragged a chain made of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. This scene is the story's engine, and its fuel is terror. For many, the definitive on-screen version of this terror comes from the 1951 classic Scrooge. While Alistair Sim gives us arguably the greatest Scrooge, it's Michael Hawthorne's Jacob Marley who sets the gold standard for the ghost. His arrival is announced by the clanking of chains, a sound that builds from a distant nuisance to an all-consuming dread. And when he finally appears, he's a storm of anguish. Hawthorne's performance is huge and theatrical. His voice is a booming, ethereal cry of eternal suffering. His famous wavering scream isn't just a jump scare, it's a soul-shattering lament. This isn't just a ghost, he's a warning made flesh, or rather, spirit. This Marley establishes the stakes perfectly. His pain is so real we understand the horrifying fate that awaits Scrooge if he doesn't listen. Decades later, the 1984 TV movie gave George C. Scott's Scrooge a very different, yet equally unsettling Marley in Frank Finley. Where Hawthorne was loud and expressive, Finley is unnervingly rigid. He moves with a stiff, almost mechanical quality, as if rigor mortis followed him into the afterlife. His jaw is locked, his movements are pained, and his words are heavy with the agony of his condition. Some find this performance less frightening, but its power is in its depiction of paralysis. This Marley is trapped, not just by chains, but within the prison of his own spectral body. It's a chillingly physical performance that emphasizes the eternal, unchanging nature of his damnation. A perfect contrast to Scrooge's potential for change. But pure terror isn't the only way to deliver the message. Marley's warning is so powerful that it can come in wildly different packages and still hit the mark. In fact, some of the most memorable Marleys are the ones that break the mold. Take Sir Alec Guinness in the 1970 musical Scrooge. Here, Marley is a figure of dry wit and dark irony. He glides through the air with fluid, ghostly movements, and his delivery is less of a scream and more of a weary, sardonic pronouncement. There's a theatrical flair to his appearance, highlighted by a darkly comedic moment where he tries to sit and misses the chair entirely. Guinness's Marley feels less like a monster and more like a damned soul who has 7 years to reflect on the sheer absurdity of his life's choices. The real horror comes not just from his appearance, but from his casual description of his fate and the spectacular musical number, See the Phantoms, where he reveals a sky filled with other tormented souls. This version proves that the horror of Marley's message can actually be amplified by a touch of gallows humor. And then there's the version that, by all accounts, shouldn't have worked at all. The Muppets Christmas Carol from 1992. Here, Jacob Marley is two Marleys. In a stroke of Muppet genius, Stadler and Waldorf appear as Jacob and Robert Marley. Instead of a single terrifying monologue, they deliver their warning through one of the film's best songs, Marley and Marley. The lyrics are surprisingly dark, describing their chains as a never-ending dance and their fate as being doomed for all time. The humor comes from their classic bickering, but the message is pure Dickens. The image of two crotchety Muppets wrapped in cash boxes is hilarious, yet the weight of their warning is never lost. It's a masterclass in tone that taught a generation of kids about eternal damnation with a catchy tune. And then there's the version that proves the warning is so strong it can even be delivered by Goofy. In 1983's Mickey's Christmas Carol, the ghost of Jacob Marley is played by none other than Goofy, a casting choice that injects slapstick into the spectral horror. When he appears to Scrooge McDuck, he's genuinely draped in chains and delivers his dire warning about the eternal punishment for a greedy life. The terror, however, is hilariously undercut by classic Goofy clumsiness, culminating in the single most memorable exit in Marley history. He trips and tumbles down the entire flight of stairs, letting out his signature Goofy holler. It is shocking, absurd, and brilliantly funny. This scene uses pure physical comedy to deliver its message, proving that Marley's warning can be adapted to any tone as long as it gives Scrooge the jolt he needs. As filmmaking technology evolved, so did Marley's ghost. In the 1999 TV movie starring Patrick Stewart, Bernard Lloyd's Marley is an unabashedly frightening specter of classic horror, inspired by Stewart's one-man stage show of the story. This version feels like a true battle of wills. It's less about a man being scared by a ghost and more about a stubborn soul being confronted by the undeniable proof of his own damnation. The special effects, like the frost on Marley's breath, are used to enhance a genuinely menacing performance, creating a Marley that feels both classic and psychologically potent. And a decade later, Robert Zemeckis' 2009 performance capture animation took Dickens' words and visualized them with terrifying literalism. Voiced by Gary Oldman, this Marley is a true nightmare. The technology allows for his jaw to unhinge and fall to his chest, exactly as the book described. His spectral body twists and contorts, his chains whip around with violent force, and his voice echoes with a digital decay. This is perhaps the most visually faithful representation of what Dickens wrote. It's a version that prioritizes visceral, technological horror to shock a modern audience, proving how Marley can be re-envisioned through modern effects while keeping his terrifying purpose intact. So, a truly effective Marley scene isn't just about being scary, it's about being transformative. It's the catalyst for the entire story. It has to show Scrooge a terrifying, undeniable reflection of himself and the damnation that waits him. It's the moment that turns his night with the three spirits from a spooky adventure into a desperate fight for his soul. And whether it's the booming lament of Michael Hordern, the ironic wit of Alec Guinness, the musical warnings of Statler and Waldorf, or the digital horror of Gary Oldman, each successful portrayal makes the threat real. For my money, Michael Hordern's 1951 performance remains the quintessential benchmark. It's pure, unfiltered terror that perfectly establishes the stakes with raw, theatrical power. That said, the brilliance of the Muppet Christmas Carol can't be overstated. It proves that the core of the scene, the warning, the regret, the desperate plea to a living friend is so fundamentally powerful, it can be sung by cantankerous puppets and still chill you to the bone. But you know what? That's just my take. Which version of Marley's Ghost haunts your Christmas memories? Was it one that terrified you as a kid? Or one that made you laugh while it made you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, do us a solid, give us a like and subscribe for more just like it. Thanks, folks. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holidays. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll talk to you soon.